iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Full-Time Fantasy Show. FullTimeFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Full-Time Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, two very good games last night. Deshaun Watson played his heart out. I mean, he really deserved the victory. He really did. I mean, 20 for 30, 268 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 40 yards rushing, and a rushing touchdown. He was exceptional. He was exceptional. I thought the running game, my friend Andy texted me, he goes, I think they're better off with Lamar Miller not being there. I totally agree. I don't wish injury on anybody, but Carlos Hyde is a pretty good first and second down runner, and Duke Johnson is very effective in this offense. He had 13 touches. I hoped for 15, and I said Carlos Hyde would have about 10 carries, so I was pretty close to right there. Did a good job. DeAndre Hopkins is uncoverable, simply uncoverable. Will Fuller played well. Kenny Stills made a big play. This is a legit team, and they didn't have Kiki QT. They didn't have one of their best players, so I'm very intrigued by the Texans. They did enough to win, but stop with the prevent defense. It's the end of the game, and all I remember as a kid is listening to John Madden, who always would say, prevent defense? That prevents you from winning. Why do people still play the prevent defense? You're worried about them scoring a touchdown? How about worrying about letting Drew Brees move down the field and getting a field goal? So stupid to me. It's like, can't anybody come up with a new concept of defense for once in their life? Bill O'Brien should be ashamed of themselves. They earned that win and lost it. Now, all credit goes to Drew Brees. Drew Brees had a very good game. If you drafted Drew Brees right now, you are excited. You're like, oh yeah, I had a game. He had a game. I'm a genius. Be careful. I don't think they want to play this way. They had to play this way. They were behind. He had to throw. They will be winning most weeks, so be very careful. 370 yards and 2 touchdowns. You're going to be able to count that on a finger how many times he does that this year. I'm just saying. Alvin Kamara does what Alvin Kamara does, but Latavius Murray got a touchdown and 43 yards rushing. Okay, a couple of receptions as well. Michael Thomas is just awesome and a great first-round pick. And Ted Ginn always plays well at home, not so well on the road. Jared Cook has me a little nervous, 2 for 37. All right, the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders beat the Broncos. Shocked, right? Shocked. So let's take a look. How about Josh Jacobs? He looked pretty special, right? 23 for 85 and 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr looked good. 22 for 26. That was a very efficient game for Derek Carr. Tyrell Williams showed that, you know what? He might be a number 1 receiver. And Darren Waller, 7 for 70. I hope we drafted him. I'm a little disappointed in Hunter Renfrow. I thought he would have done better than 2 for 13. But look, they were leading in this game. Let's see how this goes moving forward. Okay, I'm interested to see what happens there. For Denver, how come nobody listens to me? Joe Flacco's not good. But Cortland Sutton is good, and Emmanuel Sanders is good. Okay, they played very well. Royce Freeman showed a little bit to me, not a lot, but he showed a little bit here and there. I mean, that was okay. Philip Lindsay, I just think he's going to have a down year. I don't mean to say it that way, but I just foresee a down year with him. I do. So let's be careful with that. All right, Mike Tomlin. Let's take a look at some news. Mike Tomlin said he was optimistic about Juju playing. Now, I think you will not see him practice all week long. You will not see him practice all week long. That's okay. I'm fine with that. I don't need Juju to practice. Okay? You and I don't need him to practice. We need him to play. Okay, that's what we want. We want playing, not practice. So don't worry. Antonio Brown. There's news. Bill Belichick says he thinks he'll help our team. Seriously? Really? That's a tough one there. Good call. All right. What else do we want to talk about? Tevin Coleman, is going to be out for quite some time. So please watch closely there. What I want to do now is take a look at some targets and some snap counts. And then tomorrow we'll do some waiver wire, even though I did a waiver wire article. So let's go to the Giant game in Dallas. Evan Ingram had 14 targets. Cody Latimer had 8. Sterling Shepard had 7. Saquon Barkley had 6. I want to see Barkley with more than Latimer. I do. For Dallas, Amari Cooper had 9 and Michael Gallup had 7 targets. All right, so they spread them out a little bit. Rams against Carolina, McCaffrey had 11 targets, DJ Moore 10, Greg Olsen 9, Curtis Samuel 4. If you're like me and you bought into Curtis Samuel, that's got to alert you there. 4 targets, not a very good number at all. For the Rams, Robert Woods had 13 targets, Cooper Kupp had 10, Brandon Cook 6, Tyler Higbee 5. All right, that's a lot of targets for a tight end, even though he's not very special. All right, Tennessee against Cleveland. Delaney Walker had 6. A.J. Brown had 4. But they always spread targets around there in Tennessee, so don't look so closely there. You're not going to find much. For Cleveland, Odell Beckham Jr., 11. Jarvis Landry, 7. Njoku, 6. Rashard Higgins, 3. Nick Chubb had 4, so Chubb did get an opportunity. Kansas City against Jacksonville. Sammy Watkins, Roto, 11. Travis Kelce, 8. Damian Williams, 6. And then not many to anybody else. So keep an eye on that. I think that with Tyreek Hill gone, I think Demarcus Robinson may get 4 or 5 targets next week. For Jacksonville, D.T. Westbrook only had 6 targets, but Leonard Fournette had 6 as well. DJ Chark had 4, and he had 4 receptions. Chris Conley had 7. James O'Shaughnessy had 5. Jeff Swaim had 4. Minshew was very accurate. Baltimore against Miami. Marquise Brown only had 5 targets, but he had 4 receptions and 2 touchdowns. Mark Andrews was 8 for 8. Hayden Hurst had 4 targets. I remember Hayden Hurst was a very high draft pick last year. Let's not forget about him in free agency. For Miami, Devontae Parker had 7. Mike Gesicki 6. Preston Williams 5. Albert Wilson, who a lot of us thought would be a target monster, only had 4. That is somewhat concerning to me. For Buffalo, John Brown had 10 targets. Cole Beasley had 9. Singletary had 6. I'm a little concerned that Zay Jones only had 5, right? You want Zay Jones to be touching the football a little bit more than that. But John Brown and Cole Beasley, those are their top 2 guys, so that wasn't shocking. For the Jets, Jamison Crowder, 17 targets. Wow. Le'Veon Bell, 9 targets, 6 receptions. Robbie Anderson had 7 targets, but he had tough coverage, very tough coverage. Ryan Griffin had 4 targets. Those will go to Chris Herndon when he returns. Minnesota and Atlanta. Well, Adam Thielen had 3 targets and Stephon Diggs had 2. Dalvin Cook had 2. Cousins only threw the ball 10 times, so what is there to look at there? But for Atlanta, Julio Jones had 11 targets. 11. Austin Hooper had 9. Second most on the team. 9 receptions and 9 targets. Calvin Ridley had 6. Mohamed Sanu 6. Justin Hardy 5. Devonta Freeman 4. So they did spread the ball out a little bit there. All right, Washington against Philadelphia. Chris Thompson had, 10 targets. VD had 7. Paul Richardson 7. Terry McLaurin 7. Case Keenum was throwing the ball all over the place. Trey Quinn 6. So they really spread it out. For Philadelphia, Deshaun Jackson had a whopping 10 targets. Alshon Jeffrey only had 6. Zach Ertz 7. Everybody else just shared a little bit. I would be nervous there moving forward. I don't think Jackson's going to get 10 every week. I think Jeffrey needs to get more than 6. And Zach Ertz has to do a little bit more in this game as well. The Chargers against the Colts. T.Y. Hilton had 9 targets. Devin Funchess 5, but remember, he's going to be out for a few weeks. Nyheim Hines 4. The problem is Deion Kane had 2, Jack Doyle had 2, Eric Ebron had 3. They split it up a little bit too much, and that was the problem. For the Chargers, Keenan Allen had 10, Austin Eckler had 7, Hunter Henry had 5. Where was Mike Williams? I wanted to see him getting more targets. I know he got injured, but I want to see the targets there. For Cincinnati, John Ross had 12 targets and Tyler Boyd had 5. Tyler Boyd had 11, Uzoma had 5. So right there, 3 guys with the most targets. For Seattle, DK Metcalf had 6. Chris Carson had 7. Tyler Lockett only had 2 targets. That is a red flag. Beep, 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 beep. I know he had 44 yards and a touchdown, but I want to see way more targets than 2. Arizona against Detroit, Danny Amendola, a whopping 13 targets. TJ Hawkinson, 9. Marvin Jones, 4. I'm worried about Marvin Jones this year. Kenny Golladay had 9, but only 4 receptions. For Arizona, Larry Fitzgerald had 13 targets. Christian Kirk had 12. Keyshawn Johnson, 11. Even Damiere Byrd had 7. You're going to see Michael Crabtree active next week. Byrd won't play, but Michael Crabtree will. David Johnson had 7 as well. You always like to see that. But they don't throw the ball to the tight ends. Max Williams had 1 and Charles Clay had 1, so that's pretty much a nothing. All right, Tampa Bay and San Francisco. George Kittle, 10 targets. That's 3 times more than Deebo Samuel and Kendrick Bourne. Dante Pettis had 1 target. So George Kittle is the guy there. All right, 27 attempts, 10 went to Kittle. For Tampa Bay, Godwin had 6, Evans had 6, Howard had 5, Ogunbowale had 5, Perriman had 5. They spread the ball around. I think that's one of the reasons they lost. They lost. You go to Evans, you go to Godwin, Evans, Godwin, Evans, Godwin, Evans, Godwin. That's how you win games when you're Tampa, because you suck. All right. Pittsburgh, New England, Juju had 8, Dante Moncrief 10 targets. That's a lot. Ryan Switzer had 6. Vance McDonald only had 4. James Washington had 6 as well. Connor had 4. For New England, Edelman had 11 targets. Josh Gordon had 4. James White had 7. Rex Burkhead had 8 targets. You guys all got rid of Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead's a big part of this offense. Damian Harris was inactive, but Rex played. 8 targets, 5 receptions, 8 carries, 44 yards. He's still a part of this team and what they're doing. All right, Houston and New Orleans, DeAndre Hopkins, 13 targets. The Duke, Johnson had 5 targets. Will Fuller, only 3, somewhat concerning. Michael Thomas had 13 targets. Alvin Kamara had 8. Ted Ginn had 7. Jared Cook, 3, concerning. Traquan Smith, 2, concerning. You want to see those guys get a lot more. And then finally for Denver, Cortland Sutton got 8. Phillip Lindsay 6, Emmanuel Sanders 7, Noah Fant 5, right? So they spread it around. But for Oakland, Darren Waller 8, Tyrell Williams 7, Ryan Grant 4. So really Derek Carr was going to 2 guys, Williams and Waller. Watch the targets. The targets tell us so much, guys. We need to pay attention to that. All right, but now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Take a look at fulltimefantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO50 for 50% off your first 2 months, all right? I'll do a little waiver wire talk tomorrow before you do your bidding. All right? Well, my waiver wire article will be up on Full Time today, but I'll do it on my podcast tomorrow. And I'll do the inversion, the snap count today, which I did, and I'll write that on Sports Illustrated for you guys tomorrow at si.com/fantasy. All right, guys, this is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to Full Time Fantasy. There's never been a better time to join and go full time. Visit fulltimefantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO50 for 50% off your first 2 months. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time.